Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast, everyone. Today I'm here with Andy from Abbey Gate Accountancy. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Cool. So I know we've been speaking a little bit. One of the key things you said that you guys are working on at the moment is you want to keep delivering like the same quality of service that you've been delivering, and keep growing, but not losing the quality of service that you provide. Can you tell me a little bit more, kind of, I guess, like, what you guys are working on at the moment and what that kind of looks like to like keep that quality?
Yeah, well, I kind of set the business up. I set the business up initially to never need me in the business. So it's been going for 10 to 12 years, and it started as a side of desk thing, and then it grew and grew and grew. And so I was never actually in the business. So it's important for me to get the right people in there. But also, one of the key things that I did was from day one, making sure that we delivered the best service. And what that meant was getting the best people in that could communicate that. So people with commercial experience in there, people that had actually sat around, sat in the seat of running the business, so they could actually explain to other business owners. So what we do in service levels is making sure we're using the latest tech to automate things, make it seamless. How can we advise clients to improve their business, put tech into their business, and making sure that we can grow by still delivering those, like that advisory element. So advisory element goes to every single one of our clients. So whereas quite a lot, or certainly in my world and industry, that's been saved for just the bigger businesses or the corporates, they get that audit level service that we like to call it. We've tried to give that to the SMEs. So we've invested a lot in tech, particularly. So I think for the first 10 years, every pound that I ever made went back into technology to make it automated so that we could have more conversations, so that we could grow and still be able to have those conversations. So yeah, and there's like even more bits of tech out there to help us do that. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. So that we can grow the business, which is what's happening now, and continue to have conversations at the right time. And it was important, that's the most important thing for me to do was probably get that all set up and started from day one. Because trying to then go and do that retrospectively is very, very, well, it's almost impossible, really, because I speak to a lot of partners in bigger businesses, and now they're trying to do what we're doing, which is having the conversations like before the year end is a key one for us. So having that initial meeting at 3 months, having that second meeting at 9 months into the business owner's year end, a key for us being proactive. And after the event, for the partners to try and put those hours in, it's almost impossible. But equally difficult is that they haven't got the right people to go in and do that little advisory thing.
Yeah.
So that's what
Okay,
we're trying to do.
gotcha.
That's what we're put in place. And as I said, we kind of invested in tech early doors, probably over invested for the size of what we had. But I knew that I'd kind of got the end goal in mind when I was looking for my technology.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. It's crazy where technology is going and what the stuff that you can do. And then, so what would you say is kind of like the key projects that you're working on for the rest of, like, say, the year?
Oh yeah, massive project internally, because there's still more we can do to automate things. So as I said to you, I set the business up to never need me, but I kind of came into the business a year ago because it looked like it was quite a nice place to work. I like what we built. I like the culture. I really wanted to get involved, so I kind of sat in the hot seat for a year, and that's allowed me to really get into where we're inefficient ourselves, where we can improve, the service. So my mission, although it's not my skill set, interestingly, our mission is to find where we can make, those, again, putting technology in or automate things where we're manually handling things, where we're waiting for things, where we are just dead time, really. And everything that we try and do is to make it better for the client. So what I say to people is, we do this and we automate this element and it's slick, so that we can have more conversations with the client. Because the more we help the clients, that's how we grow. So we're still 80% on referrals. So 40% of our 40% of our leads come from our key referrers. So not clients, but people that know what we're trying to do. Really impressed with the technology, the conversations, the proactive side of it. 40% of it comes from our existing clients, and 20% comes from everything else that we do. And that's not changed for quite some time, to be honest. So it's key that 40% of our existing clients we look after, because we grow from them growing. So we do a better job, they improve their business. Undoubtedly, they have more services from us. But equally, if we do give them a great service, they're going to tell other people. And when other people are looking for an accountant, which is normally when something goes wrong, they're gonna ask the friend, colleagues, business owners in networking, whatever it is, and we're going to be in the forefront of their mind. So that's what we instill into the team, is that it's key to grow those clients or help those clients. So yeah, everything we put in place is to spend more time with them.
Yeah. Okay. So 40% from referrals and 20% from things that you guys do.
Yeah, so 40% from people that refer to, so it's key generally like business consultants or people that are in and around business a lot. So insurance companies, financial wealth advisors, pension advisors, because they know we have those conversations with the client, because the client comes to us for everything, whether they should buy a car, whether, what car they should get, whether they should, buy the house, whatever it is, they come to us because we're their trusted advisor, and we've built those relationships through the conversations. And so 40% are from those that deal with them in other aspects, 40% from our current clients, and 20% will be from, whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's website, Google, whatever that is that we're doing, and all the other noise, sponsorship of local community clubs. And that has not really changed for quite some time.
Wow, okay, that's pretty interesting. So you don't really do much, I guess, like in terms of like cold marketing.
No, because we've tried that, but it's not quite our way. So what I found over the years is that people tend to change accountants only when something goes wrong, because 99% of accountants are nice people. They don't want to upset them. They've tried to help them. They really literally don't leave until something goes drastically wrong, or something massively changes in the business. So what I mean by that is, it might be the next generation coming in and they want to have their own relationships, or it's grown massively and they're outgrowing their accountant, or we've had one recently where the accountant retires, or worse than that. So generally they tend to move only when there's a problem. They don't kind of want to upset the apple cart in that way. So what I've tried to do is, we'll have a conversation with you. And we've done this many times. So we've had conversations with people where it's been the right fit. It's exactly what they want. They've come to us and we want someone that can help us with technology, that can migrate us to another system, that can do the proactive side. The price is right, but then they still don't go for it because they're like, oh yeah, sounds like a bit of hassle. So we just wait, and then sure enough, they come at some point, something happens. So they do have the fallout, something goes wrong with their accounts, something goes wrong with their tax, or they've been late, or there's a surprise bill. And then they come to me, right, well, we're ready now. And that could be 24 months later. If I've had one where I've never spoken to the person, he said, oh, I spoke to one of your colleagues 3 years ago, and now I've grown to be I need that extra support, and somebody kind of holding me, and a bit more of because we give that extra level of service. Not everybody needs that straight away when it's the one-man band. So the cold calling didn't quite work with us, because you've got to get them at the right time. So they've got to be, one, at the right time where they're thinking something's just happened that they want to speak to you. Not everyone wants to pick up the phone and speak to the accountant. Two, it's quite hard to get across that we do things a little bit different. So to get us in the room, we can explain how it is, and it's very, very different then. We'll ask them questions that have never been asked before. And generally, a lot of our questions are about exit, how you get there, what do you do, how do you as a business owner get out of this business to make it viable for sale? Just simple questions that we talk about and go, well, I never really thought about that. So there's quite a few of those things, how can we get some tech into your business to make it easy for you? We've done a few migrations where it's just saved them so much time, and they just weren't aware that the technology was around them, that's been here for at least a decade, to automate some of the things they do. They're still doing things manually. I think a couple of years ago, they told us that we saved the marriage, because they were literally running the business in the day, getting home, and then they were just posting things manually for 4 hours, all day, and so the wife and husband never spoke. They didn't see each other because they were so busy, and they were literally like, as soon as you moved us over and automated all of that, like, yeah,
Yeah.
it takes us 20 minutes now, and it's like, I think
Mhm.
they literally said, I think you've saved our marriage, because that's how it was, because they were just so snowed under with it. But
Yeah.
people don't know. But again, people don't know what they don't know. So,
Mhm.
and the other thing that happens is tend to put accountants in the same box of what they've always had, and that's what I have tried to kind of say. There's something different out there. There's a new wave of modern accountants that want to be proactive, that want to have the conversation with you, that are tech savvy. But
Mhm.
if they've always had this old way of doing things, and they have their year-end meeting, 9 months after the year end, and they've delivered the accounts and tax
Mhm.
return, and they say, oh, you've got a week to pay it. That's just what they've always known, and they've never realised that actually they
Yeah.
could speak to their accountant within the year to say, right, can you help me? What can we do better? Well, how can we affect things? So
Mhm.
it's difficult to get that over again in emails, phone calls, but I
Mhm.
have tried it. I did try it. It got a few, but didn't quite work.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it didn't, yeah, quite work. So I guess like, has it impacted how quickly you would like to grow the business, relying as much as what you do in terms of the referrals and not quite getting, I imagine, that kind of like cold approach working?
Yeah, I think so, because yeah, we do have to wait, and it can be up and
Mm,
down. We had
yeah,
a crazy month. I think May for us was an absolute bonkers month, where we were used to, getting a couple of leads a day maximum. That's not the norm. And in May we
mm,
were getting 5 leads a day throughout the whole
mm,
of May, and I could
yeah.
not any reason on it. And I thought we'd cracked it. I thought, this is it. We've cracked it. This is great.
Mm,
Let's invest in the next people. Let's invest in this
mm,
technology that we were thinking about. And then in June, it just went bang, as if everything had been switched off. And I panicked. I thought everyone had gone on. I did. I
yeah.
thought everybody had gone on holiday for June. And I thought, oh, no one's going to be back till September. That means I've got June, July, August with no
Mm,
new clients. And I did panic. But what happened in July is it just came back to the normal. And there was absolutely no
mhm,
reason for it at all. We looked at all the stats. We just looked at anything that the website was driving, and that didn't change.
yeah.
It was just an
Uh-huh.
anomaly that, the timing maybe of when we'd had conversations, or they were in that timing where they thought, well, I think I need to move. I'm going to go and speak to someone,
Yeah.
or there might have been some element of there were more events in
Mhm,
June, as in local events, because they tend to do them in July as it's coming up to the
yeah.
break here in the UK. So there's quite a few events in June, and that's when business
Mhm,
owners talk. They're a bit more relaxed. Oh, you need to go and speak to, and they'll talk about it. I've had a problem with this, or need help with this, and they'll go and speak to Abbey Gate. So it might have been that. Sorry,
yeah.
in May. Um, and yeah, but I cannot put my finger on it. But what it has meant is we're a bit more in control of that, though. So when the leads come through, we can decide when we have the conversations. We can decide when we think they're right to bring over. So we can look, and because having 5 leads a day and all being well, thinking it's great to sign up 3 4 new clients a week, that puts a
Mm,
lot of strain in the next couple of months for onboarding. So we have people that are just purely onboarding, because we
mhm,
over service in that element as well. But
yeah.
it takes a lot of time to do. But we
Mhm,
can manage that now because of because of the leads coming in. If we're going out and bringing loads more in, we might struggle to do that. But equally off the back of that, we get to pick and choose who we work with. So we've got a lot better at that. So we don't have anyone that we don't really enjoy working with, but spending a bit more time at the start and understanding them, and particularly if they've been referred into us, they tend to be similar to the people that we already work with.
mhm,
So they're
mhm,
going to be similar businesses, similar mindset, similar way that they deal with us equally, and then how they want to receive the information. So you don't tend to lose or butt heads with many of those at all. The ones that are cold can be anybody really,
yeah.
and then it's
Mhm,
almost like you've got to sell to them, which is then different. It's just a different
mm,
conversation, and yeah, but you can, and
mhm,
sometimes you miss, I still miss it, still miss the red flags of what someone's going to be like.
Yeah.
But you know, we don't get many people we don't get many people like that, because they probably look
Okay.
at our website and branding and see what we're about. But
Yeah.
you know, just going back to your point on growth, is I don't think you know, people have said to me, would you like investment and go and acquire businesses? And I've kind of said no to that. I don't think it would fit in with how we work and what we do, mainly because I don't think the clients would be a good fit for us
Mhm.
because of
Yeah.
how we work. I think it'd be quite a big shock for them. We kind of don't force them to go and use all of our tech, but we gently guide them that way. And if we had to do that with 100, 200 new clients, I think we'd have a lot of people leaving, because we won't be able to manage that in one hit, because we get them all to use, they all have to use the portals. They've all got to use the one kind of
Mhm.
software, bookkeeping
Yeah.
software that we use. All our clients are on the same one for efficiency.
Yeah.
You know, we're all about the portals, tech, doing everything online, and you know, payroll's the same.
Mhm.
You know, our practice management is the same. They've got to log into, and they've got to log into quite a few things and understand how to use those. And then we have systems, and they've got to understand that that's, again, they're paying for that. It's an investment for them, so they've got to use those tools. You know,
Mhm.
the AP automation, even the pay, you know, the money collecting systems that are in there. We
Mhm.
have things plugged in the back end that will give them commands. So they've got to understand they're paying a little bit more for this technology to de-risk them and to give them prompts and reports. And not everybody wants that. So I think acquiring a business, it probably wouldn't be. You know, you might get
Mhm.
50% that want that, 50% that would go. And
Yeah.
also, more importantly, the people within that business might probably not be quite how we are. And that's probably been our biggest
Mhm.
challenge is finding the people and then coaching them to have the conversations, but
Mhm.
not data reporters, but actually almost as if they're sat in their business as their finance managers.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and like what you were saying earlier, it is crazy the roller coaster of business. It's like some months you're struggling to keep up with how many clients you get, and in
Yeah.
other months you're wondering where's my next client going to come from. It's really funny, that kind of roller coaster that you get in
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, I mean, I literally panicked because I'd kind of gone, yeah, we're going to get you. I put a new client
Mhm.
manager in, and I
Yeah.
didn't need to panic, and I knew it would come back, but I just kind of, you have that moment where you think, oh,
Mm.
I think it's just the euphoria of having so many new clients, and it's
Yeah.
all right for me because, I'd kind of see them signing on. It was great. I had the conversations, shake the hands, and then I've got to hand them over to the client manager, and I could just see them, scratching their heads, going, how am I going to deal with all of this in this 1 month, in this one period to onboard everybody? And I know, and again, I've got a few migrations. So I probably, we have an open forum in the team, and they kind of sat me down. I think it might have been at one of the conferences. We kind of had lunch in London, and they sat down. I said, "Right, come on, then. What were the problems?" And they kind of all pointed the finger at me. Said, "Well, you're probably the problem in here a little bit, because you're signing these, but we should really have a conversation." And you kind of, I was probably not over promising, but I was promising things, but we do deliver on those. But I was probably just
Mhm.
adding in things, and cutting the normal process that they follow. So I was
Mhm.
actually the problem as the MD, that I didn't follow my process,
Mhm.
and then I
Mhm.
didn't collect all the information. So that was quite interesting to. It was great to get the feedback, because they all kind of said, "Well, yeah, we get this," and every single one was, "Oh, that's me. I'm the issue in there." So
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, it's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster year, really. Instead of
Oh yeah.
it's really grown since I've been sat back in that seat for a year.
Mhm.
But then that's because I've been out there and building those relationships with the key referrers and making sure that everything's
Mhm.
in line to deliver the five stars.
Mhm.
Five
Yeah.
stars.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Yeah, yeah. That's just business. I
yeah,
find
it's
it's just
still it's
one
still a roller
big.
coaster. You still have
Yeah.
bad days, and yeah, we have good days. We're still growing, so there's going to be things that we get wrong, and then you kind of scratch your head. But we've got the mindset like, right, that happened. How can we put something in to improve that or make that better? So I'm all about feedback. Definitely, I'm not too
Yeah.
worried, but yeah, you still kind of get a little bit upset when you drop the ball somewhere or something doesn't
Mm.
quite go to plan, or even a relationship that you thought was strong, is it, something's happened and something's changed, and you didn't see it. That can be a surprise. But we're fortunate we don't lose many clients. Everything that we've done, we put everything into that onboarding process and massively over service, over
Mm-hmm.
over just go overboard in that to then build the foundations that this, we expect them to be with us for 10 years, and that
Mm-hmm.
we're in it for the long game, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but we still
Gotcha.
have
Yeah.
bad days.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And then another thing, like in terms of projects you said that you guys are doing this year, is you're saying a lot into tech and to like
Yeah.
automate things a bit more. I'm curious, like what type of would you say is like the key things that you're working on in terms of like automation? Do you see like the biggest needle moving things to automate?
Yeah, so we still do things that we double handle, some information. So it's just getting that seen. There's so many systems, and our front end system that we invested in from day one really is super slick. So actually no, there's an element missing. The very first conversation is what I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
So myself and the client managers will have that initial conversation with the client, and that client can come from a whole different way. So it could be from LinkedIn, they could WhatsApp me, they could be on email, they could be on the website, they could walk in, they could call in, whatever it is. And we haven't quite got it where at the moment that's all filtered into one system. So that's quite easy to do, but we just haven't got that in place. And then the second part of that, but what we need from that is I need to make sure that we're getting the correct information each time. So building in forms for those things. We're just working out whether it's a front end system. It adds on to the system we currently have in place for our proposals. So our proposal system, once it's in there, then that's got all the information that drives the proposal, with all our services automated in. That then, once that's signed, that then raises the invoice, automates the collection of the payment, reconciles that in our software, and it also sends the information to set up the product orders. At that point, I need to automate that to then go, right, bang, put this into all the other systems that we run, so the company secretary system. It does go into our practice management software, but there's another couple of elements of systems and software that at the moment we're doing manually. So we use a system called Expert, which is our AI tool. So that plugs into Zero, pulling all the data sets. We use that. We're really growing with that side. So just automating that journey to make sure they're all going into all the systems are talking to each other. And my senior apprentice, who is a super guy, super switched on, we're just about to move him from a role of being, he's been learning bookkeeping, he's doing his qualification, so he's dealing with a few accounts and generally doing the bookkeeping in the month end for people. But
Mm-hmm.
his knowledge and his passion is in tech, and he's going to be more useful for me in the longer run by me helping him go down that way. So he understands the system because he's been with us 3 years now. But he understands, and his mindset is there's a problem there because they all can kind of see it, so he can see where he can automate things. So he's on that journey to find me the correct solution to do all of that. So we're doing that in house rather than have another piece of tech to do that. So systems all talking to each other, and then again we're not double handling things. I think we have it wasn't until I kind of sat in the seat a couple of weeks ago where we waste a lot of time picking up files, chasing information. And I think all
Mm-hmm.
accountants do that. So again, putting in the right software or the right
Mm-hmm.
solution to think, right, these sets of accounts need doing. When I pick up the file, where are we at? Oh, I can see they've not responded to this email. I better chase them again. And then I've got to put the file down again and remember to go back to it. It's just a waste of time. And it happens
Yeah.
so many times. So building our own system in place, whether that's through the emails, whatever that is, we're just working out the best solution for that to make that efficient. I know there are some products on the market that can do some of that, but it's not
Yeah.
quite right to how we are. Um, so that's another project they're working on. One that I really like. So year-end accounts, we have our year-end review before the year end. So they have the meeting at 9 months, which is what we're kind of built on really, because that allows us to say, here you are at 9 months, this is where you're going to be at the year end, this is where your tax is going to be, okay, this is what you can do to mitigate that tax. So we've built all those calculators and things, that's all in place, that is slick. So point being is we have the meeting at 9 months, so when the year end accounts come, we don't actually have a meeting to deliver those. That's all done by the system. But we've got tools that pull out the main points of that and can kind of give us the summary of those accounts and the key points that we need to deliver. So we're just working on making that or improving that. So once the accounts are done, so we'll get them do the working papers, make the adjustments in the bookkeeping system, send the accounts for signing with the commentary, and that commentary is AI driven. And that's again something, so because it just saves another half an hour every set of accounts or an hour to really go into them, to go, these are the main things, these are the main risks, because we've got all that information on the different systems as well, and we've got the key risks that are coming from the things that we have plugged in. We can get the summary from, some of the systems have that AI summary, so just making sure that we can pull that into an email format or goes onto our practice management software in the correct way, that is correct, it's got the right information, we're building the checks to sort that, and is giving the key points that they need to know. It's never going to get it 100% right, because there's things that we know while we're doing the working papers that we need to add in. But then it's how do we do that? Where do we put that in our working paper sheet that the system can go and pull that information and put that into the summary as well? So then it shouldn't matter if I do a set of working papers, the client managers do them, the accountants do them. It should be pulling again the same kind of summary with the same quality and making sure that nothing's missed in that. But that's a big just work. That's where we want to get to and where we're working on. But then in the background, I'm having conversations with some of the tech people, say, why don't you provide this? You pull all of this data. Why do you not provide this as a report? So kind of just trying to push those on things where meet with my finance director head on, and always been in industry, there's certain things that I would have wanted to get, or certain things that me and the business, I spend time trying to find out, where these systems have all the information. I just need to click the button and send me the report. In fact, I was speaking to a firm of auditors yesterday, and I was like, there's so much tech out there that you should be able to go, bang, there is the report of the list, the last 10 transactions, the first 10 transactions, all the related party transactions, every single thing that's gone through this business that's over 5,000 or whatever they set it at. It should be something that just clicks that and goes, there you go, that's pretty much half your audit done for your testing. And they've got all the data within there. And again, I'm sure something will plug into that. But that's just an example of things we're trying to do to help in different sectors. But that's my main interest now, is fix it for us so that we can go and then advise the clients. That's what we're trying to do, is really understand what our problems are. Because if we've got the problem, the client's got the same problem. And if we can then go to them and say, actually, did you know you could do this because you've got a massive wad of paper in your office, and then or collecting forms, collecting information, getting that into the system. So, but we're limited slightly by, obviously it's a massive investment to get somebody to come and do that for us, but then we want to understand it ourselves, and so we know where we can take it. And again, my senior apprentice can really learn doing this. So we're just taking him off the tools as such to go, right, go and sort this, which he's excited about as well.
Right. So it's essentially like something where it just takes information from all the different accounts that you have, and then just creates like a really good report that then you can use to give advice to the client, essentially.
Yeah. The end result is pulling that data. So then using the AI, what is this? Some of the technology we've got can do that. It will give you these are your top 10 customers, these are your top 10
Yeah.
suppliers, this is where the risks are, this is where, I'd love to see things that go, right, this is your top 10 spend, and did
Mm.
you know that your price of this widget has gone up by this amount? Because these systems
Ah,
pull,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
pull all they pull all the data. There should
Mm.
be some central bank that goes,
Mm.
right, tell me I should be able to go to my clients, tell me all of their, I don't know,
Mm.
their price per kilowatt hour for their energy, who's being shafted, who's got a good deal, what, so we can actually go to them and say, you're paying way too much for that. Insurance,
Yeah. Mm.
look at things, because they plug the data into, the decks, the aprons, the hub docs, and
Yeah.
whatever, pulling that information. There should be a report that says, right, tell me or warn me when this supplier increases their prices. So just
Mm.
again, we digress into what it should be doing, but it's got all of
Yeah.
that data. I'm sure it has, but that's how
Yeah.
we probably help the client to say, oh,
Uh-huh.
here you go. Did you know? Not only can we automate some of this process for you, because we've got a specialist in the team that can do that now.
Yeah.
This is in a year's time. But actually, you're spending more money here because they haven't got time to. Not everybody's got somebody to check every single purchase order or
Mm.
invoice. It just runs through
Yeah.
and supplies creep, and actually that's where you look at the end of the year and go, well, your cost of sales gone up by 5%. That was your money.
Mm.
And why is that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because of this. So just trying to
Oh, yeah.
help them with things like that. Well, essentially for us, it's pulling the main key bits of information that go in there. I mean, a lot of them are just standard. So this is where your turnover's at. This is what your GDP percentage. So it's quite easy to pull, but it's where we found different things where there might be a problem.
Yeah.
Director's loan account is a big one. Where you are. This is why we've done the dividends that you've got at this point. What does that mean? So all those kind of things within that commentary that then take a bit of time if you're doing it manually to go,
Mm.
right, what did happen here? And again, if you're doing it manually, there's the risk of manual error as well if you're writing the email. So trying to
Oh, yeah.
automate as much of that as possible.
Yeah.
And that will save us, if that's an hour for every single client, and there's 300-400 clients going through, and then you send another hour here, you all of a sudden you're saving 4 or 5 hours every single client because
Yeah.
picking up, putting down the file chasing as well on that side.
Mhm.
That's a major for us. That allows us to kind of have more conversations, but also makes us super efficient on the back end
Mm.
ourselves as well. So
Yeah.
that's the journey we're on. And there's other things that we've got going on. I kind of find the payroll process quite a little bit clunky. It's got better. It's got better in the last year, certainly, but it's a little bit clunky where I'm pretty sure it could be better and smoother. There's a lot, although the system do quite a lot for us. There's lots of pressing buttons to send information, and all the way along. So again, it's a bit clunky for me.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, that sounds like super helpful to have something to be able to do all that. And also I imagine even like if you had a human doing it, humans miss things because there's so many different like line items, so many different transactions. So as a human, you might not see, okay, this invoice was this month, but 6 months ago it was this, just because you're doing so much volume. So then having AI say, actually, this thing was this previously.
Absolutely, it happens all the time. People, and if it creeps up
Mm.
slowly, you don't notice it. It's not until you at
Mm.
the end of the year you go, hold on a minute, that's doubled in price for paper, or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. What happened? And then they're waiting for you to go and pick up the phone and go, hold on a minute, we were on this agreed price here. I see
Yeah.
that kind of thing all the time, and it's the small margins then that build up, and
Mm.
nobody's got the time really to. And if you have this,
Mm.
you've either got everything automated and you're bossing it, or you've got somebody in place doing that, but or something's wrong and you're not doing any work. But it's
Yeah.
still to pick that up to go, right, pick this line up. It was this time, and I know that some of the bigger systems probably have that, within them, but the systems that we use and our clients use day in,
Mm.
day out, it wouldn't do that, but the front end systems pick up some of that data. And I
Yeah.
just think it'd be useful to have some of that information for us as accountants to go, well, this is the rate that they're on. Why do they pay that when these pay this? So a bit of a comparison
Mm.
and benchmarking as well. But comparison on pricing to then kind of put that all together. rather than going into
Mhm.
each individual one would be I think quite a powerful tool for
Oh,
accountants to use to because people will come and say, where am I overspending? And you've got to look then into the granular detail. Whereas if there's something to say, right,
mhm.
bang, and a lot of the systems will pull, what they've spent per customer. So we can we do that quite a lot. So by supplier and by customer and what's grown. So we run that report for quite a few clients, using some of the add-ons. And it's quite interesting where they think, oh, hold on a minute, we've spent double with the supplier, but we're on the same terms. So it's a conversation for me to say, well, hold on a minute, you can go and prove that you've doubled your spend. Surely there's a chance to negotiate a better
Mm,
margin or
yeah.
better payment terms, whatever that might be. So we give them that to go and have that negotiation, but we don't have the granular detail within that to what they've actually bought and what they've spent.
Mm,
Just something else that
yeah.
might be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But just
Definitely.
constantly just, I think the mindset of what we have is constantly thinking of things that are going to help the client and what might be useful. And having
Mhm.
sat in that seat for many years myself, is what would have been useful for me is because I don't
Mhm.
know what everyone's been purchasing all around the group. And when I've sat in there, and you're
Yeah.
almost relying on your purchase ledger to go, oh, this price has gone up. It's not always their
Mhm.
job to check the pricing, it's their job to post it, make sure it's accurate, it's got purchase order or something against it.
Mhm.
So whose
Yeah.
job then is it? But then ultimately it's probably mine. So I've got to put things in place to try and pick those things up. And sure enough, when you go back and if you check that every 3 months or every 6 months, things
Mm.
always creep. Always. I wish we could do that in accountancy and just creep it up a little bit each month, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, we won't quite get away with it.
Yeah, yeah, that'd definitely be very, very helpful. Yeah. I know we're starting to run out of time here. Did you have like any kind of final thoughts like before we like sign off?
Yeah, I guess for me, everything that we've done is, it's still, although you've got the automation and the AI, and it's definitely going that way, and we're embedding the AI even more, and probably at the forefront of how we do things, certainly
Hmm.
in getting the commands. That's what I love about some of the tools, is it will give me the commands how I manage the client bases, whether it's going over the directive loan accounts, whether the
Hmm.
company's going to net like negative worth, any of those things, or cash flows, or the bank, cash at bank has dropped below a certain level, are sending me prompts to manage a client base. But all of these things and everything we do still need the right people in place. Having someone in there to actually put these things in spot where we can automate and then deliver that is key. But the
Hmm.
mindset of actually spotting there's a problem is key first of all. And then everything that we do with all of these things is then to have more communication. And the way things are going in our world, and why we have grown, is not so much just the tech. The tech has allowed us to have more communication and conversations, and that's still what more people want. We've found
Hmm.
that people have come to us because they want that conversation. They want that sit down. They want that forward thinking. Let's have a look at the
Hmm.
numbers. What could you do, rather than this is what
Yeah.
happened. So even though we're in this AI techy world, it's really come full swing to go. We want you to either explain it or help us, or just push us forward and use all this
Hmm.
technology to guide our business. So people are still key, and that's still my biggest challenge, is getting the right people in place that have got that mentality, have got the
Yeah.
commercial experience, can sit in front of everybody or anybody and flex how they talk to them. So I want a real understanding of people, and still got the technical knowledge. So that, yeah, they're hard to come by, but when I find
Hmm.
one, I literally rugby tackle them and drag them in and say, you're gonna
Yeah.
come and work for us. But yeah, that's my biggest challenge still at the moment.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And how can people find you if they're looking for help with like all of this and what are you saying?
Oh, I'm probably all over LinkedIn too much, so people will be sick of seeing my face. Generally, a good way to find us is on LinkedIn, because I guess it gives you a feel of why we're different, what we do different,
Uh-huh.
see if we'd be a good fit.
Yeah.
And the website probably does not a bad job too.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Yeah, I'll link that below the podcast
Yeah,
on
great.
YouTube. Yeah, sweet. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. Hope everyone got some value, and I will speak to you guys later.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Speak to you soon.